Gold continues to hold right up in this range. I mean, this is a great move, guys. You guys know I've been bullish on gold. By the way, gold is now outperforming the S&P 500 for 2023. Think about that. Gold is now a better performer than the S&P 500 for 2023. Obviously, Bitcoin's the winner by a mile, at least at this point, and most likely by year end. All right, now again, eventually we're going to head up to that triple top. That'll be the big level to see if it breaks out. Silver chart, same kind of deal here, guys. You're coming up to resistance. Can it break out like gold? Silver has been lagging gold, but we'll watch to see if that breaks out. Oil, let's quickly touch on oil here. Head and shoulders pattern. All right, now a lot of people will say, oh, well, what if the Middle East erupts and gets crazier? Yeah, but you know what? The charts are charts. This is probabilities. I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen in the Middle East. That's for people on TV to talk about all that kind of stuff. I'm a trader, right? So ultimately, if we break this line, you then do a measured move from here to here, and that ultimately takes you down somewhere in the $70 range. If we break this line, the line I would say is around $83. So we'll watch that, but the beautiful head and shoulders right there that we're watching to see if it breaks. Remember last week, I ended up taking profits on my Bitcoin longs and then ultimately inching in a very small short just above 35,000 here. Now, the kicker here is this, right? Is that what's going on in Bitcoin is people are buying on anticipation of the approval of the spot ETF. Now, if that spot ETF gets approved, you're going to see a short-term pop, and then probabilities dictate it's going to be followed by a sell the news. Once it's approved, it'll be like, okay, well, now it's approved. What else is going to keep the price up? And it'll come back in just a little bit. Now, as long as you hold 31 to 32,000, that is your retrace buy level. All right, until it trades below. If it doesn't trade below, then you just buy there and you're good to go. If it trades below this level here, this previous pivot top that it broke above, then you have to start thinking further downside. But right now, respect that level.
It's like a Hollywood plot twist. Bitcoin, once in the dumps, is now getting a helping hand from Wall Street giant BlackRock. This legendary asset manager is cooking up a Bitcoin ETF that could bring crypto to regular folks. Just a while ago, things weren't looking good for Bitcoin. It took a hit after the TerraUSD collapse caused a $3 trillion crypto disaster. The FTX exchange had its meltdown and people started fleeing crypto like it was on fire. But then BlackRock showed up like a superhero. They're pushing for a Bitcoin ETF. That's like a golden ticket to trade Bitcoin on the stock market. Bitcoin's price jumped to a 17-month high of $35,280 in October. But wait, is this a rock-solid foundation for Bitcoin's price? Not quite. It's more hype and hope than substance. BlackRock, Grayscale, and others are still waiting for the SEC to say yes to their ETF dreams. Now, Bitcoin's stuck in a game of tug-of-war. It's chilling around $34,300. It might dip a bit, but hey, Binance's order book says there's solid support at $34,000. The story gets more interesting. The Federal Reserve is making a big announcement about interest rates. If they hint at higher rates, it could spell trouble for Bitcoin. Ethereum, Bitcoin's buddy, is on a roller coaster. It's above and below the 200-day trend line. Sunday was good, adding 1%. It's now dancing above $1,800. Altcoins are on their own roller coaster. Solana and Cardano are leading the charge, with BNB and Ripple following, but not as fast. The crypto world is watching. Bitcoin, with a market cap of $1.26 trillion and 53.8% dominance, isn't done with its story. It's a page-turner. Will it thrive with BlackRock's support? The saga continues. Now let's take a dive into the wild world of crypto withdrawals and 2024 predictions. Here's the scoop. Someone just pulled out 19,197 Bitcoins from Binance, worth a cool $652 million. This got everyone talking. Is it a big investor making moves or just folks taking their crypto home? What this means for Bitcoin's future is the big question. As of now, Bitcoin's dancing around $34,630, up 1.58% in the past day. It's touched highs of $34,750.11 and lows of $33,930, with a trading volume of around $692 million. 2024 looks promising for Bitcoin. Predicting its future means checking out global trends, tech changes, and how people are using it. Watch out for adoption, regulations, tech improvements, and the global economy. These factors can push Bitcoin to new heights. It's hard to predict Bitcoin's future in the wild crypto world. But right now, things look sunny. The Bitcoin story keeps evolving and we can't look away. And now, a flashback to wild days of Gary Gensler and his ever-changing views on Bitcoin ETFs. It's a real plot twist. Gary Gensler, now the SEC head, once called out the SEC for being inconsistent about Bitcoin ETFs. In 2019, he felt Bitcoin futures were fine but didn't get why ETFs were left out. The crypto community can't help but point out Gensler's flip-flop. He's denied or delayed Bitcoin ETFs at the SEC, saying they're not safe from market trickery. Remember Grayscale? They wanted their Bitcoin trust to be an ETF. The SEC said no. Then a court said, hold on. The SEC didn't even appeal. It's like the plot of a legal drama in the world of crypto. What's next for Bitcoin's regulation roller coaster? Stay tuned. Let's continue our enlightening discussion with Gareth Soloway.
The 10-year, what is it doing here pre-market? We can see that the 10-year is grinding up just a little bit. It's still underneath that key 5% level. Now remember, folks, we talked about this last week. The 5% level right up here, that is the level to beat at this point. As long as you stay below 5%, you go on the bearish side. It doesn't mean you're going to get a big move down. I honestly don't think you'll get a massive move down, but you respect resistance until proven otherwise. So again, that's number one. So right now, yields are inching up a little bit, but we're still below the 5% level. The dollar, let's take a look at the intraday dollar. Look at the dollar here. The dollar actually having this beautiful kind of down move, inside bar, bear flag chop, and then continuing lower here. Now again, one of the unusual things here is that the dollar is actually moving opposite yields. Now you might say, well, why is that going, why is that occurring? Because usually the dollar was rallying when the yield was going up. And the only thing I would say here is you have to understand the US has to sell a ton of debt out there. They have to basically sell a bunch of treasuries. They're like, I think 1.5 trillion in the next couple months. And you have to look at it and say, okay, that's more money being essentially printed in a way, but at the same time, how many countries are eagerly rushing to buy our debt? And that's the key. There aren't a lot. So interest rates are going up, but the dollar is starting to descend here, and that's an interesting potential divergence that we have to keep an eye on. Now, quickly jumping over to the daily chart, I continue to be in the camp that the dollar has put in a mid to long-term high pivot. And again, the reason I'm saying that is because I'm using this trend line, right? We have this beautiful long-term trend line going all the way from the lows of 2021 all the way through these pivot points. Notice how we broke below it. Remember, this was support, right? So this is support because we're above it. When we're above it, it's support. And here it's support, then it bounces, it breaks. Once support breaks, it becomes resistance. So now, once we got below here, this now becomes resistance, and so on and so forth. So even if we, let's say, rally back up, this is still going to be resistance until proven otherwise. And notice how I'm using that term, until proven otherwise, meaning that I am not a 100% trader. I am never going to be that. The point is the charts give me probabilities, and I go with what the charts are saying. I don't rely on my gut, my heart, my feelings. Feelings don't matter in this game. Always remember that, guys. That is really important. The market doesn't care what you want. It is going to do what the probabilities likely are suggesting, and that's where we have to trade. We have to trade within that. Okay, so number one, let's flip over to the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ 100 on Friday and Thursday, we did see a breakdown. Right now, again, we are seeing, it looks like a little bit of a bounce on the NASDAQ on Friday. We did see some of the tech stocks up. Amazon rallied on the back of earnings, but we are still below this key level. Now, based on probabilities, what does this tell us? Right now, the S&P and the NASDAQ are up pre-market, but as long as we stay below this level, probabilities continue to give us the probability factor that we're headed down to this level. There's a downsloping trend line right here to right here, and then there's this secondary line coming in from all the way over here and back. They're converging right around this level, this 330 level. That is the level. Even if we get a bounce this week and we have Apple earnings, we have the Federal Reserve, we have the non-farm payrolls report, we have all these things this week. So you could always see some sort of bounce. But as long as the market stays below this level, you assume eventually, within a week or two, we are going to come down to this lower level. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, that there aren't long opportunities. If you're a swing trader, I'm going to go over some charts that I like today in just a minute on a swing trade basis. But you have to understand that the charts, again, we've broken this line. The next major support is here. Even if we bounce a little bit, you ultimately would assume based on probabilities that the market will go lower.
That wraps up today's crypto news highlights. Stay tuned for more updates, insights, and analysis from the world of cryptocurrencies. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content.